Hey, what's up everybody? It's Matt here with Winning with Real Estate. So today I'm talking about the first step of the purchase process of purchasing real estate on the retail side. Here, check out the link above here to see the full process of the home buying process. If you haven't checked that one out, it's so important for you to check that out. But the first step we're going to talk about here today is actually probably one of the more important parts. So this part is actually going to be going into what is called, we're going to talk about two things. We're going to talk about the pre-approval process, and we're going to talk about the finding the agent. Those are going to be the two parts to really start your home buying process journey. But before we dive into that, do me a favor, hit the like button below. I definitely appreciate it, and also hit the subscribe button here somewhere, wherever, so that you can get notifications as soon as I post the whole process and all the real estate related things. So let's go ahead and get into it. So the first step in the process is going to be the pre-approval phase. And the pre-approval aspect is so important because what it does is it identifies how much you can actually qualify for, right? We don't want to be spending time looking at $500,000 properties, $1 million properties, if we really only qualify for $300,000, right? It just doesn't make sense. You're wasting your time, right? Because it's essentially window shopping, right? Now, in order for you to actually get pre-qualified, here's what they're going to do, right? They're going to look into all of your financials. They're going to look into your credit. They're going to look into your income. They're going to look into your debt to income ratio. And they're also going to get you, I guess, a ballpark rate as to what they're looking at in terms of your actual loan. What this is going to do is it's going to tell you roughly how much your payment would be, and how much your payment would be, how much your interest would be, and things like that. This is such a critical point. Usually you can get this information done over the phone or done online for you. If you need someone to work with, I have a lender that works in all 50 states, and they can get you that pre-qualification letter if you're interested in that. Now that you actually have the pre-qualification letter, what it does is it allows you to actually place offers on properties, right? So it allows you to put offers in on properties with just a pre-qualification. It's not as strong as what they say a pre-approval is, which the difference between a pre-approval and a pre-qualification is a pre-qualification actually is almost a verbal information with a credit check. So it's my income is X, my debt is X, and then they'll run your credit with the pre-qualification, right? Now the pre-approval, what that is the lender is saying, hey, look, I received all of the documentation to support everything that was represented in the pre-qualification stage, right? So that is definitely key. So pre-approvals are going to be a little stronger, but you can still put offers in with that pre-qualification as well. So that's definitely key to get the pre-approval, but you can suffice up front with that pre-qualification letter, and it allow you to put in those offers, right? So now that we know we are qualified for $300,000, right? The next best thing and the next step of that process is to identify the right agent to work with. Now, what's so key about this is that not every agent is the right agent for you, right? I mean, it makes sense. I mean, we're only human, right? The relationship that I have with my clients can be different than the relationship another agent would have with their clients, right? So it's definitely key. And a couple things that I always like to do in vetting some of the agents that you work with, because becoming a real estate agent is such a low barrier entry. All you have to do is take a course for like 75 hours, depending on the state you're in, and then take the class exam and then pass the state exam, and then boom, you're licensed, shazam. But what's key, just like if you were an engineer, right? You can go to school, to engineering school, but once you get out of engineering school, are you an engineer? Probably not yet, right? You still need some of that real life experience. So here are a couple questions that you want to ask your real estate agent during the interview phase and the hiring phase, right? Here are the three main components. One, how much experience does that real estate agent have going through the transaction and going through the process? And because what the agent's going to be able to do is they're going to be able to prepare you for things that you may or may not see at all phases of the transaction, right? If you're an agent that knows a lot about property condition, they're going to be able to spot things about the property that may or may not be correct, right? It may or may be causing concern. For example, I had a client that I was working with, and I had noticed that there were structural foundation issues in the basement. My client was in love with the house, loved the house, but had I not noticed that there was a foundation crack in the foundation, we would have went down this rabbit hole, put an offer in, got the offer accepted, and then we'd have to pay an inspector to tell us that there was foundation issues. So essentially that whole process, I saved my client about $500 for the inspector. Now the inspector would have told them, hey, you got to get this evaluated by a structural engineer because the inspector wants to cover themselves, right? And then the inspector would have said, okay, well, hire a structural engineer. Structural engineer would have cost another $500. So that right there, just knowing that and being able to have that foresight, that's definitely key. So knowing how much experience your agent has, definitely key. All right. Now the second part is your ability to communicate with the agent. Do you have good rapport with the agent? When I first purchased my first property, I wasn't an agent at the time, and I hired an agent that really just we weren't speaking the same language. I was looking at it from an investment perspective, and she was trying to sell me on the emotional side of things, as most purchasers are emotionally purchasing. So really we were just speaking two different languages the whole time, and she really didn't add value to me as the client, right? So really just having that good dialogue and making sure the agent understands what your intentions are and can communicate those intentions back to you. So that's definitely key, right? So those are the two things that are is really step one of that whole process. I know it's a little long-winded, but just to recap here, first what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to subscribe to my YouTube channel. The link is somewhere around here. Now the second thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to get that pre-qualification letter if you're looking into purchasing a property. That's going to tell you how much you qualify for. And two, you're going to want to find the right agent. The agent that is local to the area in which you're looking in will help you find the right property at the right price and at the right time and in the right condition. I hope this came of value to you. Again, just hit this like button, hit the subscribe, and I'll see you next up on the next portion of Winning with Real Estate.